For the longest time, it seemed like the ideal way of working out in VR was to punch at targets that were coming towards you. But there's a new kid on the block. Racket-focused gameplay is becoming more popular every day, and VR racket play comes in all shapes and sizes, from familiar tennis to brand new sports developed especially for VR. But how long until the market gets saturated? When do new racket games go from being innovative and unique to seeming like a ripoff? Thank you to ORBEATS for sponsoring this week's video and letting me have a chance to look at their brand new arcade-style racket game and answering the question of whether it's unique enough to stand out against the competition and earn your hard-earned money. Let's find out. Oof, I should have paid attention to that.
ORBEATS basic training complete.
All right, seems easy enough. Whoa, that was fast. How am I supposed to hit those?
Stage complete.
Okay, that was pretty easy. Let's try something harder. Oh, this is a lot. Who is that dude? Lasers?
Stage failed. Game over.
So apparently paying attention to tutorials is like not my forte. I'm like serious, like when am I going to learn? And I was hoping going through it again will help clear some things out. Because after the first playthrough, I felt like the play space and the arena was just causing a lot of problems. Like I wasn't really able to reach balls that were right up in the corners, and the side walls were just really far away from where I was standing and playing. I constantly had to jump up to reach the ball, and even with my Guardian setup, I hit the wall more than I have ever done in a single game before. Oh, even my fingernails have green paint on them. The first play session left me with a lot of questions about the game. The score, how do you fail a game, and how to best play in this enormous, seemingly undefined play space. And how the heck is this a rhythm game? There's a lot to dive into. Even though game tutorials are super useful and definitely a necessity in every game design, I rarely pay much attention to them because tutorials are slow, long, and boring, and honestly, I just want to play the darn game. ORBEATS is a game where paying attention to the tutorial will save you a lot of headaches when you start playing. After the first few games, my number one issue was the play space's size and my inability to reach the ball more often than I and my wall would have liked. But after going through the tutorial and actually paying attention, I learned that the developers had a purpose and a mechanic for this. Meet the gravity tether. Can't reach the ball in the top corner? No problem. The gravity tether got your back. Simply activate it to pull your ball back towards you, change its direction, improve your striking distance, and speed up the overall gameplay. The term high octane used to describe ORBEATS on the Meta Quest store is starting to make a lot of sense. Every punch to the wall I had when playing ORBEATS had been to the wall in front of me and not to the sides. This made me wonder about my play position. Checking on the in-game floor design, there's no ideal stance indicators to be found. So does this mean I can stand anywhere to play? In my vertical jumping, front wall hitting, and side reach failing attempts at clearing rounds, I never once encountered a barrier warning or notification, leading me to suspect that there might not be any game-defining barriers at all. So to try this out, I first created a play space that covered almost the entire floor of our house. And as suspected, this did not change the size of the ORBEATS VR arena, but I was surprised that no matter where I positioned myself, I was never asked to return to a play space area, even if where I was standing was a clear disadvantage, making it even impossible to fire like my cannon hand thingy. So why is this important? I often have problems drifting when playing VR, slowly moving out of the ideal play space. Usually, this can be corrected with a VR playmat, or the game itself will notify you that you have moved too far. But ORBEATS doesn't have a built-in mechanism like this, and the Quest native barriers didn't show up in time to prevent me from making multiple new dents in my green wall. So this is definitely something to keep in mind when you are setting up your play space. So this experiments show that you can play ORBEATS as big of a space as you like, but since most of us don't play VR in like a gymnasium, I'm curious about the opposite. How small can you go? ORBEATS has added seated gameplay to their MetaQuest Store resume, which is pretty much the smallest play space you can use in a VR game, so I decided to give it a try. Everything was going great until I hit the levels where the laser-spewing aliens were added to the mix. I found out that dodging the lasers wasn't the easiest thing to do.
What?
Okay, so seated gameplay might be working well in like normal and casual levels, thanks to the gravity tether, as long as there's no laser aliens present. But doesn't the lasers adapt to your height and position? I'm glad you asked. There's no game setting or obvious calibration where you can set your height or squat depth. And although it seems like some of the lasers are rigid and not affected by your height or position, others seem to have no problem recognizing how tall or short you are.
Alright, we're seated here.
Alright, so now that I figured out my ideal play space and barrier configuration, and how to overcome the big play space, it's time to grind. ORBEATS VR has two different styles of gameplay, Journey and Survival. Journey introduces you to 5 worlds where you can navigate through alien temples at casual, normal, or difficult levels. Each world has 5 temples which feature unique music and challenges. The further to the right on the menu you go, the more difficult the worlds and aliens become. So the game mode is called Journey instead of a campaign. And this is why. In campaign-style game, you have to clear each level before the next is unlocked. But in ORBEATS VR, all of the levels are available to you right away. So if you want to go straight to the most difficult level, you can. This might seem cool at the first glance, but after playing a few times, I found that this setup made beating the more difficult levels less rewarding, as I just didn't have to grind to get there. I would have loved to see this game mode have unlockable levels that featured achievements or any kind of recognitions of your progress. Instead, you can see a diamond indication of your score at the top of each level once it's been completed, and bounce around between worlds, difficulties, and songs as you wish. After all, ORBEATS is described as a rhythm game. So which parts of the gameplay warrants this kind of categorization? Honestly, I have no idea. After a few hours of playing ORBEATS, I haven't been able to find the part of the gameplay where rhythm adds to the experience. The music and all the different levels is great and fits the themes really well, but it seems that there are just too many ways to play and clear each level, such that hitting the ball or clearing targets on a beat or in rhythm just isn't happening. I have played other games where the rhythm component wasn't immediately obvious to me. And with all of these different game features, it's possible that I have missed it. The scoring system also seemed to be quite complex, so there might be more levels to it than what I have managed to uncover. But if that is the case and rhythm or beat do matter, then I would love to see a breakdown of it on the level summary board or as a mention in the tutorial.
I did it! Okay, that was the toughest level in the game. So either all of this Racket Club reviews that I've been doing lately is really starting to pay off, or this is the most forgiving Racket game I have ever played. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. My heart rate is about 96, but I do feel like I am really working up like my heart rate and breathing heavier right now. It was just a little short duration. So I'm pretty sure if I head into the continuous experience, this is gonna be a great workout.
ORBEATS VR was just released in December and is currently on MetaQuest App Lab. Even though the game is still in its infancy, it has a lot to be proud of. The graphics are gorgeous, the game runs smoothly, the gameplay is fun with tons of variability and room for improvement and growth. And playing at the highest level or in survival mode has the ability to raise your heart rate and get a good workout. The main limitation of the game is the lack of indication of where in the play space you are finding yourself, and I would love to see the journey be changed to a campaign mode and with more leaderboards and scorekeeping of my own scores to be made available. So, do I think ORBEATS has what it takes to claim its own unique place in the VR racket game space? With so many unique game features and mechanics, I think ORBEATS stands out and it is a game to watch. And if you are ready to see it for yourself, then ORBEATS has given me an exclusive discount code that will give you 50% off their game. I will list the code and the store link down in the description. MetaQuest App Lab is a great place to look for new and upcoming games and to get them early, often at a discount and with a chance to help developers and give feedback on their game as they are finishing it off. This right here is another game that is currently in App Lab that I absolutely love. And if you want me to cover more App Lab games in the future, then make sure to let me know in the comments.